Okay, so we're saying determining the content of the feedback. What are we trying to say is that the same data that you have collected, there has to be ways on how you're going to provide that feedback. Yeah? Just in the same way we talk about in research, is that after you've collected data, how do you present the findings? Yeah? So the issue about presentation on the how, because you have to understand that, remember, we have said that we have different what? Clients, and they will understand things differently. Yeah, so you have to make sure that when providing this feedback, you're also bearing that in mind. Okay. So so we are going to look at 9 properties that the data should have when you're providing feedback. What are these characteristics? So that this information that this feedback that we're giving, how should it be presented, and what sort of information should we basically present? Okay. And one other thing that we're talking about determining the content is that we are also looking at that sometimes when the data is too much, they would even client because this is what because Mamonji information is a joke. Yeah. So that's why we're saying you have to determine content, how much, yeah, but also how important, how realistic, yeah, is this information and the provided period that we want to change things. Yeah, so we have to make sure that we really are focusing the real problems in the organization, but also we are able to give in precise information about what the problem is. So what are these properties that the data should have? Number one is that the data should be relevant. So why should it be relevant? Because the data that you have collected is what people are going to use against to bring change in the world, in the organization. Yeah? So we might be changing things that are already okay because you haven't provided the relevant what? So it has to be something which is relevant. Okay? And how sometimes will you know that this data is relevant? Depending on whom you have collected. Eh? So I was saying I want to study about student absenteeism. So I won't go about analyzing or looking at observing lecturers. I have to look at the what? So the question is, where are we getting the information from? Yeah? So sometimes the information that we might get may not be relevant. For example, maybe you're looking at customers. Customers have their own perception and their own understanding of what the organization should do. But as an organization, we also have our own understanding on how things should be done. So we have to make sure that we are providing information that is relevant. How can we increase relevance? As we have said, is that you need to collect this data from the managers, from the employees within the organization so that you understand the problems at hand. But again, this information is relevant because what we are saying is that this data is what will be used for problem solving. Because if you want to solve problems, it means you have to understand, first of all, the problem. So the question is the problem relevant enough? Number two, understandable. So can you present the data in a way that someone can easily interpret it? Yeah? So that's why in research, I was teaching you about how to come up with charts. I was teaching you how to come up with graphs. Because someone, even without explaining, but when you look at the graph, you can understand what is going on. Okay? So you did statistics, business math and statistics. Yes. So you know positive correlation, negative correlation. So if it's negative correlation, you know that okay, there's no relationship between these two variables. Yeah? Yeah. So these are things that again, when presenting the data, what we are saying is that present it in a way that someone can easily understand. Number three, descriptive. The data has to be, again, descriptive, describing. Yeah? So as for example, as the diagram I say, you cannot just leave it unattended without an explanation. There is need to describe what is exactly the problem. Number 4 is verifiable. So the question is, if the practitioner or the change agent has identified that these are the things, these are the problems, he has to come back again to the employees and present, gentlemen, I've done my data collection or I've done my inquiry about this organization. The following are the things that I found. So in a meeting, you will see people nodding their head. Then you know, oh, okay? Yes. But in the sense that people are not agreeing to it, so it means no one is verifying. Yeah, so it might not be relevant. Yeah, but can the information be verified? Is it true what you are saying? So for example, I was talking about student absenteeism. So if I go to the hostels, maybe in my findings, I say, no, most of the students are getting sick because they can't take care of themselves. No very good example. Well, but the issue is, can it be verified that they are hostel? Because if they are not, then what I was saying was not the truth. Yeah, so I'm just giving that as an example. So can you verify? Oh no, there's lack of policy. Okay, the policy is like, is it an issue that no, we haven't sensitized people, so people don't understand this particular policy and how it is being implemented. Maybe it's just in the book, but no one has been sensitized. Okay, verify. Okay. Apart from that, again, data has to be timely provided. Timely, as soon as possible. Yeah, before things go chaotic in an organization, this data should be provided on time. So the interesting thing is that the moment that you are trying to collect data, after a small period of time, people will expect feedback. Yes? Yes. So people are motivated. Yeah. So if anyways US or suggest motivation yes. So it should be on time. Yeah. So that's why we're saying that again, this data should be presented on time while it's still valid. Because sometimes over time things will change. Eh? So the same data you want to do it like if you take 4 months, you find within the 4 months it's a seed house. But 10 years ago, it's ordered of seed. It will be too late. Eh? Yeah, so we have to make sure that we present this data on time while it is still valid. Okay. And then also number 5, it should be limited. Limited. So unlimited, what we are saying is that let's make sure that we don't overload too much information. Yeah? We don't overload too much information, but also we should limit to what employees can realistically process at a time. Yeah? So if you give too much information, you find really even under processing and understanding of it, the problem. If you know that it's too much, we can do 2 today, right? Yeah, so you're looking at giving yourself some time limited so that people do not become overloaded with too much information. Okay? Because they want to understand what is realistically on the ground. Number 6 is significant. Significance, we are looking at how important. Eh? There are some things that are too pertinent. This is more. Okay? Yes. Sometimes there's a problem, there's a major problem, and then there's a minor problem. But sometimes you find that the major problem is what also creates the minor problem. Such that when you deal with the major problem, the minor problem also evaporates. So let's not focus on small issues. Let's focus on the real issue.